There in Columbus, Emeka Egbuka has 194 career receptions. That's second most in program history behind just KJ Hill. We're getting you set coming up.
So many options in the offense, El. We got so many options this weekend when we're watching the NFL postseason. Let's go to the NFC as that wild card round starts on Sunday. Let's go with the Eagles, hosting the Packers in a rematch of their season opener in Brazil. Eagles won their final 7 home games during the regular season and have won 4 of their last 5 home playoff games. 3 of those wins coming by at least 20 points, El.
I'm actually excited about this one. Commanders visit the Bucs for another Week 1 rematch. Over the last 20 seasons, there have been 4 instances of teams meeting in their first playoff game after also playing in their season opener. And the road team, Kevo, won each of those 4 games.
All right, Monday night on ESPN, the Rams hosting the Vikings. This one moving from SoFi to Glendale, Arizona, through the wildfires in SoCal. Vikings seeking their first playoff win since 2019. They're the 4th team in NFL history to play a road playoff game after winning 14 games that season. All right, as promised, Mina Kimes and Ben Solak back here with us. So let's start with the first NFC game this weekend. That is the Packers and Eagles in South Philly. Ben, Jalen Hurts cleared from concussion protocol. What game plan do you expect Philly to utilize offensively with Hurts?
I'd expect them to get the ball out of Hurts' hands fast, right? When they played in Week 1, he had a time to throw of over 3 seconds. On the season, time to throw of 3.13 seconds, second longest in football behind only Lamar Jackson. But in that Packers game, he threw the 2 picks, he took the 2 sacks, he was running around creating his own pressure. I want to minimize Jalen Hurts' role in this offense. He's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I want to run this thing through A.J. Brown, right? That RPO game, those slants, those flat routes, and of course, I want to maximize Saquon Barkley. So to me, this is a run RPO game. Don't let Jalen Hurts make the same mistakes he made last time against this Packers defense.
Ben, you talked about the Eagles running it through A.J. Brown and Saquon. I think the Packers, meanwhile, have to run this through Josh Jacobs. Literally, their running back. And he's one of the more underrated running backs in the league. It's a real strength-on-strength matchup. Eagles' run defense is spectacular despite playing with the highest light box rate in football. And this Packers split-zone running attack with Josh Jacobs, whose tackle breaker is really underrated. But I would also argue it's especially important in this game because the Eagles has been prone to getting off to slow starts. However, once they get a lead, they do not give up the lead. So if you can control the ball early in the game, run it efficiently, and not fall behind, you stand a good chance against them because in the second half, what we have seen consistently is the other team barely gets the football.
And by the way, ball control key. Josh Jacobs has recorded a rushing touchdown in 8 straight games, the longest streak by any player this season, and the longest streak in Packers history, El.
All right, let's talk about the late game, which is Sunday night, Commanders-Bucs. What matchup, Ben, should Baker and the Bucs try to exploit against that Washington defense?
I like the backside of the backfield, right? Again, another Week 1 matchup, and when they played in Week 1, it was all wide receivers. But this was with Benjamin St-Juste and Emmanuel Forbes at corner for the Commanders. Everybody was throwing against the corners. Now, it's Mikey Sainristil, the rookie, and it's Marshawn Lattimore, the trade partner. So I want to go for the backs, right? Washington allowing 8.1 yards per reception, 2 running backs on the season. That's a top 10 number. And Bucky Irving, the rookie, the 4th rounder, averaging 1.87 yards per route run, one of the highest explosive catch rates of all backs in football. He's great on the early downs. Rashad White is their pass protector on late downs, and then all of a sudden he sneaks out for the big catch and run. Those two are a great duo. I want to throw the ball to the backs behind the line of scrimmage, avoid the pass rush, win that way.
I agree, although I'll be very angry if we don't get Mike Evans on Marshawn Lattimore in this one, that famous and delightful rivalry. On the flip side, I think it's actually similar insofar as the Washington offense has a lot of matchup advantages against this Bucs defense. You go back and you watch the Week 1 tape, and then you realize none of this really is relevant anymore because Jayden Daniels became such a different quarterback over the course of the season, particularly against the blitz. We know Todd Bowles loves to send extra rushers at anyone, not just young quarterbacks. Jayden Daniels, 2nd in QBR this year against the blitz. He was so good at diagnosing pressure, making good decisions, finding his answers, his hots, and I suspect we will see more of the game and more of the same, in this game.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've been most impressed by with Jayden Daniels is it usually takes time for a fan base to curry enough confidence that their team is always in it. But he has 12 passing touchdowns in 4th quarter or overtime this season. That's tied with Baker for 2nd most in the NFL.
He's not playing like a rookie,
no, man,
right?
at all.
All right, final game of Wild Card Weekend, Monday Night Football between the Vikings and Rams on ESPN. Ben, what does this Vikings defense need to improve from their first meeting against L.A.?
Yeah, pressure the quarterback. They pressured Matthew Stafford on 12% of his dropbacks in this game. That is the lowest for the Vikings defense in a game this season. That is the lowest for Matthew Stafford in a game this season. It was a Brian Flores defense struggling to get pressure on the quarterback. Stafford is so sharp at this point. He's such a veteran. He sees a lot of the blitz looks. He understands how to get rid of the ball underneath. And it was a great game from that Rams offensive line. If I'm Brian Flores, I look to my 2 edge rushers, all pro vote edge rushers. That's John Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, who I brought in as free agents. I need you to win on the outside. I want to be able to rush 4, win with my down defensive lineman. Got to pressure Stafford a little bit more in this one.
On the flip side, the last time these teams played back in Week 8, you really saw Sam Darnold struggle when the Rams started getting pressure. A lot of that had to do with their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, going out to injury. I think there are things that the Vikings can do to alleviate some of that pressure, one of which is play-action pass. The Rams are a bottom 5 defense against play-action. The Vikings have been very successful all year, not so much against Detroit. And along those similar lines, because it feeds into it, they have to do a better good job of running the football. I think the lack of a credible rushing threat against Detroit really hurt them, particularly because that Lions front was able to tee off on their play action. And you're going up against the Rams defense that is soft against the run in a lot of ways. If they can do a better job of keeping Sam Darnold out of those 3rd and longs, I think they have a good chance of keeping that pressure, that fearsome Rams 4-man rush off them.
We could talk football with you guys for the next hour.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got to go for much more of this dynamic duo. Check out Mina and Ben's Wild Card Preview podcast.
They answer a ton of questions there. In fact, Ben just answered one for us as well. The question of how long you can keep up Christmas decorations. January 10th, apparently.
My tree's still
well
up.
done, Ben.
My tree's still up. So it's nice.
It makes you happy.
Thanks, guys.
It makes him happy.
Go with it.